All right, let's get right into it. There's this incredible story coming out of Japan, a place where technology is now taking on one of our most raw, basic emotions, anger. And I'm not talking about some simple filter that just lowers the volume. No, this is an AI that literally erases anger. It takes furious, yelling words and rewrites them into calm, normal speech all in real time. I know, it sounds like something straight out of sci-fi, but it's very, very real. And the reason it exists? Well, that's because it was born from a really deep societal crisis.
You know, for decades, this one phrase has defined Japanese customer service. The customer is God. It's the foundation of our culture of omotenashi, this idea of ultimate, wholehearted hospitality. But there's a dark side. Behind this beautiful tradition, something has gone seriously wrong, pushing service workers to their absolute breaking point. And it's gotten so bad that it's forced this kind of radical, high-tech solution.
So, get this. The tech giant SoftBank just unveiled something that is, well, it's pretty stunning. It's called SoftVoice, and here's what it does. Imagine an angry customer is just screaming at you over the phone. This AI jumps in, intercepts their voice, and in real time transforms it. What the employee hears on the other end is a calm, even-toned voice. The words, the meaning, it's all there. But the emotional violence, it's just gone.
But here's the thing that's so important to understand. SoftVoice wasn't just invented because it was some cool tech demo. No, it was created out of pure necessity. And to really get why, we have to go deeper and unpack the dark side of that legendary Japanese hospitality, a crisis that has its own very specific name.
And that name is Kasuhara. It's short for customer harassment in Japanese. And listen, we're not talking about someone just being a little bit rude or having a bad day. This is extreme abusive behavior. We're talking about customers screaming for hours on end, making threats, making these incredibly humiliating demands. It's become a full-blown, recognized social problem, and it's absolutely destroying the mental health of people in the service industry.
The whole thing really hit a boiling point with some shocking public incidents, like this one at the Osaka Expo. A security guard was forced by a customer to perform what's called a doze. Now, if you don't know, that's a deep, kneeling bow of apology right on the ground. Traditionally, it's a gesture of the most profound shame and remorse. But now, customers are weaponizing it. They're using it as a tool for public humiliation. And believe me, this isn't some rare, isolated thing. Just let this number sink in for a second. 11%. 11% of service workers in Japan say a customer has demanded they do that exact same kneeling apology. That's just staggering. It's a powerful symbol of how this whole power dynamic between customer and employee has become dangerously, completely broken. And this is where you see the devastating human cost laid bare. These are official government numbers. Mental health claims in the workplace are at a record high. And look at this. In 2024, they had to create a brand new category just for Kasuhara. It was immediately linked to 108 cases. But here's the part that's truly gut-wrenching. Look closer at that data. 88 of those claims, 88 involved suicide or attempted suicide. That's the reality of this crisis.
So, when you have a crisis this severe, what do? Well, Japan responded in a very Japanese way. If society couldn't shield its workers, then technology was going to have to. It was developed with the University of Tokyo, and you can think of it like an emotion filter. The AI basically listens for the acoustic fingerprints of anger, that high pitch, the sharp intensity when someone shouts, and it instantly rebuilds the voice into a normal conversational tone. So the operator gets all the information. They understand the problem perfectly, but they're completely shielded from the personal attack.
Okay, so the big question is, does this thing actually work? And the answer is a definite yes. In their tests, SoftBank confirmed that it reduces what they call the perceived anger index for the person listening by over 30%. Think about that. For an employee who deals with this all day, that is a massive drop in psychological stress.
And, it's actually much more than just a fancy voice changer. It's a whole defense system. So yeah, it softens the tone, that's step one. But it also automatically detects when the line is crossed into abuse and issues a warning to the customer. It even filters out background noise so the operator can just focus. And this is key, it logs everything, creating a perfect record if legal action is ever needed. It's basically a digital fortress for the employee.
Now, what's so fascinating here is that a technology like this doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's really the product of a perfect storm. You've got these huge social, legal, and economic pressures all hitting Japan at the exact same time, which made a tool like SoftVoice go from being nice to have to being absolutely essential.
First up, you've got the law. After a bunch of local governments started cracking down, a new national law is coming in October 2026, and it's a big one. It will legally require all businesses to have measures in place to protect their employees from customer harassment. If they don't, they'll face penalties. So suddenly, protecting your workers isn't just a nice PR move, it's the law.
Then there's the political angle. The current government has been pushing this idea of a strong Japan, which is all about defending the nation's dignity. And what that's done is it's created this cultural tailwind. It's basically given companies the social permission they've been waiting for to finally stand up, stop caving to every crazy demand, and actually start protecting their people. And of course, you have to look at the economy, which is just a total land of contradictions right now. On one hand, the stock market, the Nikkei, is booming. It's near record highs. But for the average person, the yen is weak, so the cost of everyday life is shooting up. I mean, even a simple onigiri, a rice ball from a convenience store, can now cost over 200 yen. So you have this bizarre mix of corporate wealth and personal financial stress, and that creates a total powder keg when people have to interact with customer service.
So, you add all that up, and it becomes crystal clear why a technology like SoftVoice is taking off. That new law is the #1 reason, for sure. But right behind it is Japan's severe labor shortage. Companies are desperate for workers. They absolutely cannot afford to lose good people because of burnout. Throw in the growing focus on mental health and corporate responsibility, and the case for this tech becomes pretty much undeniable.
All right, so we've seen why this was born in Japan. We get the context. But what happens when an idea this powerful goes global? That's really the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. Because this very Japanese solution is about to pose a massive question for the rest of the world. And believe me, the debate is already heating up.
And right away, you can see it's incredibly polarizing. I mean, on one hand, it's this amazing shield, right? It protects workers' mental health from daily abuse, it reduces turnover, and it lets them actually focus on solving problems instead of just absorbing emotion. But there's another side. And the critics are asking a pretty chilling question. What happens when the customer's anger is actually justified? Does this AI just become a tool for companies to hide their own mistakes, to digitally silence legitimate complaints, and slowly erode any kind of real human communication?
Let's be honest, a lot of people see this and think one thing. This is the high-tech Japanese answer to the global Karen problem, right? I mean, it's a phenomenon everyone recognizes, the entitled, abusive customer. And the idea that you could have a technological fix for this very human, very frustrating problem, well, that has a really powerful global appeal.
And make no mistake, this is just step 1. SoftBank has been very clear about their roadmap. The next step is AI that can analyze the hidden intent behind what a customer is saying. And the endgame, by 2030, a fully autonomous AI that handles these abusive customers from start to finish with zero human input. Their logic is actually pretty compelling. One day, they say, we'll look back and think it was inhumane to ever ask a person to endure that kind of abuse.
So this really leaves us with a huge, fundamental question. Let's say your flight gets canceled, you're stranded, and you're understandably furious. If you called the airline and they use this AI to digitally smooth over your completely justified anger, are they just protecting their workers? Or are they using technology to hide, to avoid taking responsibility for their own failures? Where exactly do we draw that line?
Right now, Japan is the test case. It's the first major experiment in digitally managing human anger on a mass scale, and it is a profound shift. It forces us all to ask a really tough question. Are we using this technology to save us from our worst impulses? Or are we just slowly programming the humanity right out of our conversations? Japan is taking the first step, and the rest of the world really ought to be watching very, very closely.